Hey guys, welcome to this new series. In this series I'm going to build a CRM or Client Relation Manager in Django from scratch. So I'm going to begin very basic by installing and setting up everything we need, and then I'm going to build a project piece by piece. I have not planned anything for this, so I'm going to take it as we go. So I'm going to set up a to-do list and take you through the steps of planning and similar. So first I can set up a to-do list we are going to use throughout this project. So if I just go to Visual Studio Code, then I just create a new file, to-do list. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is to install and set up everything we need. So create virtual environment, install Django and create project. And when that is done, I want to start by building a few basic pages like the front page, sign up, login and similar. So base pages / templates. And when that is done, we can do authentication. So we can make it possible to sign up, login and similar. And when that is done, I want to redirect the user to a dashboard. And on the dashboard, the user should see things like his leads, clients, and similar. I'm not sure everything we're going to have there, but we're going to do a simple dashboard at least. So we can say simple dashboard. And then I want to make it possible to create new leads. So create new leads. So I definitely want to change this to-do list throughout this project. I just want to have a base idea of what we are going to do. Convert leads to clients. We have to make it possible to change leads. So change and delete leads, change and delete clients. And I also think that we should have teams, so we can maybe have a seller and we can have a manager or boss who can do everything while the seller can just view his own leads. So implement solution for teams. I also want to have a payment gateway here so that people can buy, for example, the base page, basic package, which can only have, for example, 10 clients, and then you have a pro that can have 50 clients or similar. We can come back to that. So implement a payment solution / monthly recurring payments, something like that. And this includes having limitations, and you have to make it possible to do the payment and that you have to withdraw the correct money and similar. And at the end of this project, I want to deploy this project. Here are probably many more to-dos I'm going to add in this list after a while, but we have to come back to that. So then we can actually just begin with creating a virtual environment. And if you don't know what that is, it's an isolated computer or place on your computer, which makes it easier to have packages like Django installed just for this project. It also makes it easier to deploy the project later and similar. So if I just go to the terminal, then you can see that I'm in the CRM folder, the same folder that I have open here in Visual Studio Code. So to create a new virtual environment, I just say Python 3-m venv and then the name, which can be Django env or something similar. You can call it whatever you want actually. So when that is done, we need to activate this by saying source Django env bin activate. So now you can see that the name of the environment is prepended before the name there. Nice. And if you want to deactivate this, you can just say deactivate. Great, so then it's gone. But we need to have it activated so that when we run pip to install Django, this will only be installed to this exact environment. So pip install Django. Now this will install the newest version of Django, which is currently 4.1.3, and a few dependencies that Django has. If you have a slightly older version of Django, it will probably work as long as it's newer than 3.2, I think. Great, so now we have installed Django and we are ready to create our first project. So Django-admin start project, and then the name of this project. The only thing I have planned for this project is actually the name, and I just want this to be called Tail CRM. And then teal is a green color that I'm going to use throughout this project. So hit enter. So if I run ls now, you can see that we have the environment and the Django folder. So let's go into that. Then you can see here one more Django folder and the manage.py. And the manage.py file is like the administrative script for the project, where you can initialize the database, create super users, and similar. You're going to use this a lot. Inside the Tail CRM folder, you have the ASGI and WSGI, which are entry points for the web server. We will come back to those when we deploy the project. Settings.py are global configurations for the project, like the database, where the templates are located, and similar. And urls.py is like a table of contents for the whole project. So when you go into urls.py, you will find the sign up page, the dashboard page, and similar, and where Django can find this in your project. So we will come back to this later, and it will probably make more sense when you start using it. So if I go to Visual Studio Code, you can see that I have this open here as well. Then I just want to save this to-do list. So to-do list.txt. So I have it there. So now that we have done the first task, we can set the first task to done. And then we're going to begin with the base pages. So I can add a few small subtasks here, like create app for pages. I want the core app to have the pages for the front page and similar, so that I have this in one app. Create base template, and I want all templates throughout this project to extend this template, so we can have the header, the menu and the footer and similar in one template, and then make the other template just use this. Create front page and save. So okay, we can also have a create about page, just so that we have one more page and that you will have a better understanding of how the URL will work and similar. So let's begin with creating a new app for the pages. So Python 3 manage.py start app core. And now that we have created this, Django doesn't know that this exists, so we actually need to tell Django that we're going to use this. So if you open up Tail CRM settings.py, then we should have a list of installed apps. There are already a few things that comes from Django, like sessions, admin, which is an administrative place where you can add data to the project, and static files, which makes it easier to use CSS and similar. So we'll come back to a few of these later. And then at the bottom here, we can just add core, which will point to this folder. So now Django knows that the app is created and that we are going to use this. So then we can just save this, and then we can set this to done, because now we have this. And then we can create the base template. So inside the core folder, we create a new folder called templates. And Django will automatically look for a folder called templates inside each of the apps that we have. And to make it easier to separate the apps from each other, I want to create one more folder in here called core. And you will understand later, when we are going to refer to the templates, why I do this. So then in here, I can create one more base.html. So I'm going to use Tail CSS for this project. So Tailwind. So Tailwind CSS. And then if I just go in here, I think there should be a CDN that I can use. Play CDN. This will not be used in production. I'm going to install Tailwind later, but for now I just want to get things up and running so we can test things. So let me just copy this entire template and paste it in base.html. Just want to fix the indentation. Whoops, like that. So now we have implemented Tailwind and we have a base template. So I want to test this now. And to do that, we can go into views.py and create our first view. Def index. And then in here we pass in the request parameter, which contains information about the browser, if it's a post request or a get request and similar. And here we just need to do one thing, and that is to render the base template. So return, because each view needs to return something. So return render, we can pass in the request parameter again. So this will now be available to use in the template. And then we need to specify which template to use. And that is right now core/base.html, and that points to this. So if I now just save everything, go to the terminal and say Python 3 manage.py run server, then we will spin up a development server which we can use now during development. During production and deployment we will change this, but for now we can just use this. So if I just copy this address, go to Chrome, paste it here, then you will see here the install worked successfully. Congratulations. So now Django is working and it looks like everything is as it's supposed to be. But why isn't the front page or the base HTML working? This is because we have defined the view, but we haven't told Django where to find this. So if you open up urls.py, remove this big comment here, then we can import the view here. So from core.views import index. Now we can add it at the list here. You can see here that we have admin already, which will take us to the administrative pages, or the Django admin area, or whatever you want to call it. And then here we need to add a path. This can just be empty because when we go to the front page, we want to use this path. And then we specify which view to use, which is index. And we also want to set the name index, so that when we are other places in this project, we can refer to the front page by just saying index, and then Django will automatically find this path for us. So if we save now, go back and refresh, we will back and see hello world, and you can see the code that we added. There you can see Tailwind CSS and similar. Nice. So that is working now. So then we can continue by adding a very simple menu. So div class, maybe we should use nav here, since this is more semantically correct. I want to have some padding at the top and padding at the bottom. So py, or padding in the y direction. Set this to 4. And then in here I can just say href. Can just go to / which is also the front page, Tailwind CRM, and save. So if I go back and refresh, you'll see that you have space there and also below. And now I want the menu to be teal color. So we set the background BG teal 500. This is one of the built-in colors for Tailwind, so we can just use that. And I want the color of this to be white. So I can set this on the link here, class, text white. If you are not interested in learning Tailwind CSS, you can just copy the code here and forget about it. But Tailwind CSS is a very nice to know how to use. Refresh. Nice. So then I just want to have some space on each of the sides in the menu as well. So here we can say px 6. So we have more space on the sides, like that. And then on the right side here, I want to have a button, log in and sign up. So we can add that as well. I want to have a wrapper around these two, so just add an empty div, and then href can just go to / that also right now. Class text white, and then log in, copy, and sign up. So if I refresh now, these are down there, but I want them to be moved over to the other side. So to do that, we need to introduce something called a flexbox, and this should be on this element. So if I just add flex here, save, go back and refresh, you'll see that they are next to each other now, at least. But now I want to have all available space between Tail CRM and the login, and then push the links out to the side. And to do that, I can just say justify dash between. So now the space is justified between this element and this element. So if I save now, refresh, they are moved over there. Nice. But I want these to be more like buttons and not just links. So for the login button, we can say P, Y, 4 and PX 6. And this can be a little bit darker than the menu itself. So BG teal 600. And the text can just be white. Nice. And also want rounded corners for the button. So rounded -XL. Save and refresh. Nice. Should also have some more space in the menu, so this isn't pushed all the way up there. So I can just set the PY to 6 as well. Nice. And then we need to do something about that button. About the sign up button. So I can copy this because I want them to look the same. But this can be, for example, 300. So it's a light green color or light teal color. So that looks a little bit better. We will work with the design much more later in this project. Then right now I just want to add the footer, which will say copyright Tail CRM 2022 or something like that. So below the nav you can add a footer class. Here I want a lot of space above and I want the content to be centered on the screen. So PY8 text centered. And then in here just add a paragraph, copy, write, C 2022, Tail CRM, and save. So I think that should work. Yes, but it wasn't centered. Maybe it's text center. Yes. And I want this to be a little bit smaller and I want the background color on there as well. So here, class, text, XS, which is extra small, and then a background color on the footer. So BG gray 200, save, refresh. Nice. And this should also not be black, it should be a dark gray color. So I can say text gray 700 and refresh, because I do not like the total black color like that. So now that we have this, we want to make it possible to have a front page that uses this template, so we don't have to add all of this code on each of the templates. So let's create a new template for the front page. So inside core, we create a new file, index.html, the front page, and save. And now we need to tell views.py that we're going to use that template instead of the base.html. So if you just save now, go back and refresh, we will just see this. So now we need to tell Django that we want to extend the previous template or the base template. So at the top here, we use the curly brace percentage extends and then core/base.html. So if I save now, we will see this, but the text is gone. So how do we add this inside here? We want to have this between the nav and the footer. And to do that, we need to use something called block tag. So use this, block content, and then end block. And then inside index.html, we just do the same, block content, and close it at the bottom, and block, and save. So if I refresh now, this will appear here in the middle. Nice. So now we can extend the template as well. And to show how we can add more template tags like this, you can see up here, this just say 127, which is the address. We want to change this to the name, Tail CRM. So inside base.html, if I scroll up, below the script, we can add a title, and then in here, block title, and end block. So I can copy this now, because if I save now, nothing happens, it's just still this. But if I go to index.html, paste it, then here I say Tail CRM, save, go back and refresh. You can see here that this changed to Tail CRM. Nice. So then the next step is to go to the to-do list, because I would say that this is done now. We will add more to this later, and this is done. So then I want to create an about page, which will teach you more about the URLs, the views, and the templates. By the way, if you want to learn even more Django or Vue from me, you should check out my website codewithstein.com. The site has many premium courses and a lot of awesome blog posts. And for as little as $20 per month, you will get access to all of my content, and you will be able to track your progress, you can talk to me, and similar. So go to codewithstein.com after the video and sign up. So let's begin with the view. So at the bottom here, we can do def about request, return render request, and then the name of the template, core about.html, and save. So here I can just make a copy of this index file, create a new file, about.html, and paste it. And then here we can say about, and then in here, this is the about page, and save. But this will not exist yet. So if I go into urls.py, we need to import it here, about, and then we can add it here, path, about slash, and then about, and then the name, which is also about. So if I now go back to Chrome, I can go directly to /about, then we'll see here about, which comes from this block title there, and then the content is this. Nice. So then I just want to add the link up here to the about page, so we can click that and be sent to that page. So inside the base.html, I can just add it here inside this div, href. So instead of saying about like this, which is dumb because we don't want to hard code anything like this, we use an built-in template tag from Django called URL. And then here we just pass in about, which is the name we use here. Sorry, inside the name there. And then we can say class text white and about. So let's save this, go back and refresh. And then I should be able to click this to be sent to the about page. So I go to the front page, we're on the front page, about takes us to the about page. Nice. I just see that I want some spacing between these as well, so I can add this on the div. And just class space -x-4, refresh, and then we have some space between these as well. Nice. So that means that I should now be able to go to the to-do list and set this to done, and then this whole task here is also done. Nice. So then we get to the next task, which is authentication. I want to make it possible to sign up, log in, and log out. So to do this, I want to create a new app for the user profiles because I want you to have a user profile when you sign up. So let's go to the terminal, stop the web server. By the way, if you see this, I'm going to fix that very soon. But for now we can say Python 3 manage.py start app user profile. So now that is created, and we can go to the settings.py again and add this here, user profile, and save. So now Django knows that this also exists, and we're going to use it in this project. Nice. So then I just want to close a few of these files because I don't need them right now, like that. So create database model for user profiles, make it possible to sign up, make it possible to log in, make it possible to log out. So then we can begin with the create a database model for the user profiles. So inside the app user profile, we have a file called models.py. And this is where we describe to Django what type of information that we're going to use in the database. For example, the name and similar. Django comes with the built-in functionality for username, email, and name, but we want to extend this later. So now we just want to add an empty database model here, so that each time we sign up, we at least have a user profile. So let's say class user profile, pass in models.model. So now Django knows that we're going to create a database model, and then we need to refer to the user here. And to do that, we just say user equals models.one to one field, because a user should only have one user profile, and one user profile should only have one user. So then in here we pass in an object called user, and then we say related name equals user profile, so it's easy to refer to the user profile from the user. And on delete models.cascade, this is mandatory to have. So when we delete a user, we also want to delete the user profile. As you can see here, I get a little error because user is not defined, so I need to import this at the top here from django.contrib.auth.models import user, like that. So now the error is gone and we are ready to initialize the database. So if I go back to the terminal, I can say Python 3 manage.py make migrations. So now you can see here, create model user profile. So now this will create a new file there in our project, which contains information that Python will use to create the database model or the database table. And to execute this and actually initialize the database, we can say Python 3 manage.py migrate. When you have done this a few times, it will probably make more sense and you will understand much more of what is happening. As you can see here, a lot of other things happened as well, and that is because we initialized the database for the first time now, which will also mean that this is gone now. So now we have a database. If I run ls, you see that we got a new file, db.sqlite3. So it's a SQLite3 database. We should now be able to log into the admin interface to add users and similar. And to do that, we need a super user. So Python 3 manage.py create super user, hit enter, admin at tailcrm.com or whatever domain I'm going to use, and then a password. Great, super user created successfully. Now I want to create a user profile for this as well, so I need to log into the shell and create this. So Python 3 manage.py shell. This will be done automatically later when we fix the sign up, but now I just need to do this manually. So here I need to import the user. So from Django.contrib.auth.models import user, and I need to import the user profile database model. So from user profile.models import user profile. And then I can get the super user by saying super user equals user.objects.get pk equals 1. And I know that 1 is correct because I only have one user in the database right now. So if I say super user, this will say admin, which is the username I used up here. So then I can create the user profile by saying user profile.objects.create. Sorry, I need to have a capital U. And then I just say user equals super user. So then create a new one, which user points to this one, and hit enter. So now the super user also have a user profile, and we don't get any errors when we log into the admin interface and similar. So then I just click Control C to stop this, and now I can run the web server again. And then we can try to log into the admin interface and look at this. So if I just go to this address /admin, then I can log in with the user I just created. And then you will see here that you have groups and users. I'm not sure if I'm going to use groups in this project, but users we are definitely going to use. So now you can see the user I have created, and this is staff, which means that the staff is the only people who can log into the admin interface. But where is the user profile? We haven't told the Django that we want to list them here, so we need to do that. So if I just go back here and find user profile /admin.py, then we can just register them there. First we import them from .models import user profile. And I can say .models because this admin.py file is in the same folder as models.py. And then just admin.site.register user profile and hit enter. So if I go back now and refresh, the user profile appear here. Then there is one object, which is the admin user. Nice. So now that we have that, we can continue. So let's go to the to-do list, set this to done. Next step then is to make it possible to sign up. And to do this, we're going to use a built-in functionality that Django comes with. So let's just go to views.py and import it here. So from django.contrib.auth.forms import create user creation form. So this will contain information about, I think it's the username, the email, and then the password. We can create a sign up view and see what this looks like. So def sign up, pass in the request parameter, and then we need to create an empty instance of this form. So form equals user creation form, and then we need to render the template. So return render, pass in the request parameter, and then user profile /signup.html. Now we can save this for now. And then we need to create this folder. But first we need the templates folder, templates, and then the user profile. And then you can see why it makes sense to have the app name inside the templates folder as well. Because if we hadn't had that, and the sign up file was in this folder, it would be harder for Django to know which app it was connected to. So in here we create signup.html, and then I want this to extend the base template as well. So extends core/base.html. Now we can set the block title, sign up, and block. Just copy this, block content, and block. And then here I want to have a h1 sign up and save. So now we have the template, we have the view, the database model, but we have not told Django how to find this. So if we go to urls.py, we can import it here from user profile.views, import sign up. Then I can add it below the about, so path sign dash up. We use the sign up view and set the name to sign up. So now I just want to connect the button up in the menu, this one, to that page. So we use the URL function, sign up, and save. So now Django will automatically find this for us. So if I just click this, I will be sent to the sign up page. Nice. So now I want to show a form here where we can fill in information and submit. So we need to pass this form here into the template, and to do that we just say comma, create two curly braces, say form, and then form. You can call this whatever you want, but Django always uses form as the default name, so it's the best practice to just do this. Let me just pass it in like this. So it's very easy to render this form. We just create a new form tag, set the method to be post, and then action dot, which is the page we are on. And then here we need to add something called a CSRF token, and this is built-in functionality that Django has. You can just say CSRF token. This will add a hidden field to the form, which makes it harder or maybe even impossible to submit information to this page from other domains than the one you own. And then to render the form, we can just say form.sp, which stands for as paragraph, and save. So if I go back now and refresh, you can see here that it wants the username, a little bit information about what the username should contain, and then password and password. Great. So I just want to make this a little bit larger so it stands out a little bit. So add class text LG maybe. Yes, the XL. And then below here we need a button to actually submit the form. So here is a button class PY4 PX8 BG teal 500 and text white, submit, and save. So refresh, and I'll need the rounded corners of course, and then we will fix the design for this later in this course. So we also need to set the rounded -XL, save, refresh, and now this looks like this. Nice. So if I now try to submit this, then nothing will happen because we haven't handled this in the backend inside the view. So we need to do that. So let me just go back here, and then I need to check if the form has been submitted, and I can do that by saying if request.method equals post, then I know that the user has submitted it, and I can create a new form by saying form equals user creation form. And then we just pass in this information into there, and Django will handle this for us. And then we can check if the information is correct before we save it to the database. So if form.isValid, then then we know that the form information is correct. So then we can create the user by saying user equals form.save. And then we want to create a user profile as well. So we can just say user profile equals user profile.objects.create and say user equals user, which will point to this. And now we see that we get this error because we haven't imported this database model yet. So from .models import user profile. And then we have both of those. And then when that is done, I want to redirect us to the login page so we can log in. We haven't created this yet, so we will have to come back to the correct URL, but we can say return redirect /login /login dash. And then you see here that we get a new error because redirect isn't imported. I can import it here, redirect, because redirect is a shortcut just like render, which comes from Django.shortcuts. And if this is not a post request, that means that we are just visiting this page like a get request, and we say else, and then we do it like that. So now everything here should actually work. You can see here that this is a little bit grayed out because we are never using this. So I can just remove this and have it like this. So if I go back now, just hit enter, refresh. Now you can try to sign up, code with Stein, and then a password. Submit. And then I was redirected to /login. We haven't created this, so naturally this gave us a 404 error. So that is the next step, make it possible to sign in. But now I can at least go to the to-do list and set this task to done. Before I continue, I just want to say thanks to all of my patrons. If you too want to support me, you will find a link in the description below. And then we are going to continue with making it possible to log in. Django comes with built-in functionality for this as well, which is a little bit easier even, so we're going to use that. So let's just go directly to the urls.py file. So urls.py. Then we can import the functionality for this directly here from django.contrib.auth.views import views. So then we just import all of the views here because we're going to use at least 2 of them. So below the sign up, we can say path log-in/, and then here we need to point to one of these views. So we can say views.login_view .sview, and then in here we say template name is user profile /login.html. I think this is the correct syntax, and I can set the name to login. So now we just use a built-in view that Django comes with. Login view is a class-based views. We have used function-based views up until now. And then it just points to this and which template we're going to use. So we can save now and refresh. That is not correct. This method is only available on the class, not on the instance. Django login view template name. Not sure what the correct syntax here is. Login view. Okay, probably don't need those two. Looks like that can be correct. Stop. Run the server again. Error is gone, and now we just get the template does not exist yet. Great. That makes sense because we haven't created it. So if you just make a copy of the contents here, create a new file, save it as login.html in the same folder as the sign up, you can see it here, and then paste it. Then I can replace the title, both of these two, with login and save. Now Django actually sends us a form, so we can just do this, use the same code as we do here. So if I save now, refresh, you will see the login form. Nice. So now we should be able to log in with the user we previously created. So I can say code with Stein and then my password, submit. And now I was logged in and I was redirected to something called accounts/profile, which also doesn't exist. But I don't want to use this URL. I want to redirect us to a page called dashboard. So if I go to settings.py, we can set the default place we are redirected to. So login redirect URL equals /dashboard. And if we try to go to dashboard before we are authenticated, we want to redirect us to the login page. So login URL. Here we can use the name because we have defined this in the urls.py already. And logout redirect URL can be to the front page, so index. So when we log out, we can be redirected to the index page of the CRM. So save now, and then go here. Now we are actually logged in, even though we can't see it anywhere. But when we make it possible to log out, it will be much clearer. But we can now set this task to done. And then we can continue by making it possible to log out. So if I go to base.html, I want to have a button together with this one. So href URL logout. And then I can copy this class. And I want this to be red. So when you click it, you understand that you're going to log out, but you can have PG red 600, which is a little bit deeper red color. Sorry, I forgot the tick there. And log out. So if I go back now, I will get an error because reverse for logout not found, which means that it was trying to go into urls.py and there are no views with the name logout here. So we need to create that path log-out views.logout view. So now we just do it like the login view. We use built-in functionality from Django.asView, but here we don't need any template because there are no template for the logout page. You are just redirected to where we set this in the settings.py and the name logout. Save. So refresh, and now we have the red logout button there. And if I click it, I'm logged out, but you can't see it anywhere. So what I want to do now is to make sure that when we are logged out, this button will not show, only these two. And when we are logged in, these two buttons will be hidden. So Django makes this very easy. If you just go to base.html, then above the login button, we can say if request.user.isAuthenticated. Then this isAuthenticated is a property on the user, and if we are logged in, then Django knows that we are. So then we can have the log out button there, like that. And if we are not authenticated, we can say else, and then we just indent these two, say and if, and save. So refresh now. Now you only see these two, and then I see that I need to fix this login button, not just the slash. So URL login, save, refresh, and if I now click it, I was sent to the login page. So let me try to log in again, see what happens. Submit. Now I was redirected to dashboard, which doesn't exist yet. But now we only see the logout button and the about button. Nice. So now we should have a dashboard button and a page to show when we are logged in. So let's just quickly create this. Just want to set this to done and this to done. And then the next step is to create a very simple dashboard. And I want a new app for this page. So we need to stop the web server, say Python 3, manage.py, start app, dashboard. Now we can just run the server because we don't need any database models for this. So we need to tell Django to use this. So in this list, we need to append dashboard, save. And then we can create the view for this. So if I just find the app here, dashboard, views.py, def, dashboard, pass in the request parameter, return, render, request, and then the template name, which is dashboard slash dashboard.html, and save. So let's create that folder, templates, dashboard, and dashboard.html. So I want this to look exactly as the other templates. So let me just copy the top there, paste it, and say and block like that. Dashboard, and the same up here, dashboard, and save. So now we need to add this to the URLs page, but I don't want everything to be in the same URLs file because I actually want separate URLs file for each of the apps. So in here we create a new file, urls.py, and I will need to import the path object from Django. So from Django.urls import path. And then we can import all of the views which is connected to the dashboard by saying from.import views, and then URL patterns equals create empty list, pass in path, set this to be empty, and I will explain very soon why. Views.dashboard, and name is also dashboard. So now we need to import this to the main URLs file inside Tail CRM. Then I want to add this at the top here, path dashboard slash, and then include dashboard.urls. So now all URLs that begins with dashboard will use this file. That's why I could add this empty, because the URL is already dashboard from the other file. So now I get this error because we haven't imported include together with path from Django.urls. So now I should be able to go to the browser and go directly to dashboard. Sorry. So now that that is done, we need to make sure that non-authenticated user can't access this, and that's very simple. If you just go to views.py in the dashboard folder, and we can here say @login required, and this is a decorator that comes from Django, which will redirect the user to the login page if you are not authenticated. So you need to import this as well from django.contrib.auth.decorators import login required. So now you will be handled by Django if you are not authenticated. Nice. So that's almost done now. We need to add a button up in base.html together with the logout button. I can make a copy of this button and then indent, set this to be dashboard and dashboard. So refresh, and now we have a dashboard button which will redirect us or send us to that page when we are authenticated. Nice. So let me go to the to-do list again now and set this to done. Because I don't want to add anything more here before we have the leads and clients and similar. And that was it for this part. In the next part we're going to begin working with leads and maybe even clients. I hope you liked today's part, and if you did, please hit like below. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them below and I answer as soon as I can. See you in the next video.